Hey everybody, this is Pamela. I'm not sure if you guys read the little bulletin I posted on Thursday, but the baby is here. And I don't know where to start. I'm going to do a separate video introducing her. This is basically going to be a video telling you how everything went and the whole story of the labor and delivery. Anyway, I was scheduled for induction at 7 a.m. on Thursday morning, Thursday, July 30th. And by the time we got to the hospital and got settled, it was going on 8 o'clock. And doctor came. I was kind of nervous because when I got there, they weren't really busy, so they already had my personal labor and delivery room all ready for me. They had all the pads out on the bed. They had the hook to break my water with. They had the IV all set up, ready to go. It was just way too surreal for me, but what can you do, right? Anyway, got changed, and then 5 minutes later the doctor was there, and she broke my water, which freaked me out because once that happens, you know there's no going back. And at that point I was 2 centimeters dilated, and she basically said once she broke my water, go ahead, go about your business, walk the halls, do anything to get labor started. So that was around 8. By about 10:30, I had only had a couple very mild contractions, if any, and every time I got up to move around, there was more water coming out, which was freaking me out because I guess it all didn't come out at once. So at 10:30, they started a very mild, very low dose Pitocin drip on IV, and they wanted to monitor me continuously, but I told them that when I started getting contractions, it was very uncomfortable for me to be in the bed, extremely uncomfortable. So they wanted to do one of those internal monitors on the baby's scalp where it clips into the baby's skin, and I didn't like the idea of it, but the doctor assured me it's very standard procedure and it's not harmful to the baby. So when she went to put that in, it just about killed me. It hurt so bad when she was trying to reach the baby's head and do that. I was almost bawling. And but she got it in, and then the wire that's coming out, they just kind of tape to your leg, and then it goes like radio transmitting to the little monitor machine and shows the baby's heart rate. Baby's heart rate was a little bit irregular, which kind of worried me, but they told me it was okay. And then pretty much between like 10:30 and 11, I started getting mild to medium contractions, and it was almost like I was more scared to feel pain than the pain actually bothered me at first. So I just kind of sat there in a little rocking chair with a pillow under my bum and played on the little computer TV thing and listened to music, put my bulletin on YouTube, put a little heading on Facebook to tell my friends that we're in the hospital having the baby. I actually paid a couple bills. Obviously I wasn't in that bad of pain. And then I started getting nervous when the contractions started to get more real. I started saying, well, when's the epidural coming? When can I have it? And they said, well, as soon as you're in like real labor and you're actually in discomfort, we can get it anytime you want. So I had about a half a dozen real contractions, I guess you'd say, like really painful enough. And they said, well, the anesthesiologist is around, so do you just want it now? And I was like, yeah, I do. So before he came in, they told me that it might be a different procedure than I'm used to having done. The way he gets you to sit on the bed, he has you kind of sit really back close to the edge and open your legs really wide and then lean forward to have your back in the right position, and he makes you repeat, I can do this, I will not move. He makes you keep saying that over and over again. So apparently like to focus and keep you still, obviously, right? So he comes in, he's very serious, but he was very nice. And he had Andrew hold onto my shoulders, and the nurse was there with him and everything, and they talked me through it every bit of the way. And honestly, this was the most pain-free epidural administering that I've ever had done to me. The part where they gave me the anesthetic shot in the back hardly even hurt. And he got it in on the first try, which was really good because he told me we may have to try more than once, but we didn't. So when I first felt the medication go in and I felt it kind of come over me, I didn't like the way it made me feel. I kind of got a little upset, but they're like, don't worry, it's normal, it's normal. They laid me down, and he left after about 15-20 minutes. And I noticed after a bit that yes, the epidural was working, but it was only working on the left-hand side of my body, which was very problematic because I was still feeling pretty much everything on the right hand side of my abdomen and my back and everything, and then the left hand side of me was like frozen solid numb. And I'm just gonna check my time here. Okay, we're good for time. Anyway, obviously I'll have to do a part 2, or maybe. Anyway, so the nurse said, well, we can do one of 3 things. We can either give you an extra shot of the medication through the pump to see if it works. We can have him come back to adjust the catheter that's in your back a little bit, or we can have him try and do it all over again. And I said, well, what do you usually do? She goes, well, we should usually start with the simplest thing and give you more medicine. So she gave me push the button and gave me a bolus, they call it, where it's just like a big rush of the medication. And she's like, do you feel numb on the right hand side now? I said, no, just the left hand side. She's like, well, I'll do it again in 10 minutes. She did it again, and then I totally flipped. I was like, wait a minute, I cannot breathe. I said, I can't feel it. I wasn't numb in my chest, but I felt like my lungs were almost lazy and compromised, like I would want to breathe and my lungs would be delayed. And I felt like if I started to doze off that I was losing all sense of reality. So I really got upset. I started having an anxiety attack, and she cut back the epidural to half the dosage that it was running at. Then I started to feel more pain. So what she ended up having to do was she kind of had to even things out and kind of give me a little bit more epidural, little less, just so I wasn't having a full-on anxiety attack or an agony, right? I ended up having, around that time when I was upset, my mom brought my 11-year-old sister in who was in the waiting room. I just wanted a new face to look at. I wanted a change of scenery, something to take my mind off the fact here I am basically strapped to every apparatus they have here, the blood pressure cuff, the thing for your saturation level, IV, internal monitor for the baby, catheter, epidural in my back, and paralyzed on the left-hand side. So if you're having an anxiety attack, there's not much you can do except for sit still and deal with it, right? So my sister came in, and that actually did kind of take my mind off things until I felt better. And they upped the Pitocin at around 3 or 4 o'clock because I was not progressing fast enough, and they just wanted to get this over with for my sake, everybody's sake. So I started having them pretty close together, like around the 6 o'clock time at night. Like, this went on for quite a while, right? My mother was convinced because I was being quiet and focused and breathing through the contractions that I was not in labor. She was thinking they weren't giving me enough Pitocin and kept saying, give her more, give her more. And I was like, shut up, Mom, I am in labor. And then the doctor came, they said, should we have the doctor come in and check you because you're having them really close together? And I said no, and I'm like, yes, get her to come, because all of a sudden I felt more pressure. And the doctor came in and she was like, yeah, you can push anytime, you're fully dilated. And I said, no, I want someone else to do it. And obviously no choice. Check my time again. Okay, we're still good. Anyway, so I had to kind of lay on my left side that I was on, like the frozen side, and have Andrew hold my leg up and kind of push on my side because I was so numb on the left side, and I could feel everything on the right, nothing on the left when she was coming out. And it was not hard to get her out at all, like maybe 5 to 10 minutes of pushing tops. And my sister actually ended up videoing the whole thing, which I wanted her to do, but from like an over-the-shoulder shot, she ended up getting like right in there with the camera. So I'm pretty sure I won't be posting the delivery or like the birth video because I don't know how to blur things out. Like, I'm not really shy about it, but I don't know how any of my subscribers or viewers would take that. I don't know if it would be too much graphic close-ups and stuff. You guys can let me know if that's of any interest, because it's not something I'm ashamed of or anything. Anyway, so 5 to 10 minutes of pushing, and not terribly painful at all, like definitely uncomfortable and a lot of pressure. And then she came out and everybody yelled, it's a girl! Like, we didn't know, even though we did, because for some reason we were all convinced that because I've had 3 boys, there's no way this could really be a girl. And the first thing I thought was, oh my gosh, she looks so small. Anyway, I'm going to see how much time I have. I'm going to do a part 2. I'll be right back.